When my own family forgot I was still here, they did not say it out loud. They did not shout. They did not argue. They simply went on with their lives, as if I had already faded into the walls of the house. I remember the moment clearly. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the same one I had wiped clean every morning for years. A cup of tea sat in front of me, untouched, growing cold. Voices floated in from the next room. Soft voices. Familiar voices. Plans were being made. Decisions were being taken. My name was not mentioned once. I told myself not to feel hurt. I told myself they were busy. I told myself that families forget small things sometimes. But deep inside, something heavy settled in my chest. That quiet feeling that comes when you realize you no longer belong where you once felt needed. This is the story of how that feeling began. Slowly, gently, and how it grew into something I could no longer ignore. I am not a dramatic person. I have never been loud with my pain. I was raised to endure, to stay calm, to keep the peace even when it costs you something inside. So when I tell this story, I tell it the way it happened. In small moments, in silences, in things left unsaid. I am a mother, a widow, and once I was the center of my family's home. The house was never big, but it was full of footsteps, full of noise, full of life. My husband and I moved there when our children were still small. We painted the walls ourselves, uneven strokes and all. We planted a small tree in the front yard, laughing as the wind kept blowing dirt into our faces. Someday, my husband said, this tree will be taller than the house. He did not live to see that day, but the tree did grow. And so did our children. After my husband passed, the house changed. Not right away. First, it held us together. My children stayed close. They checked on me. They worried I would feel lonely. I told them I was fine. And most days I truly was. Loneliness is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet and polite, like a guest that sits in the corner and waits. My son was the one who stayed. He was the youngest, always gentle, always careful with words. When he married, I welcomed his wife with open arms. I meant it. I truly did. She was kind at first, reserved but respectful. She smiled often, though her eyes stayed cautious, as if she was still deciding where she fit. I understood that feeling. Marriage is a big change. So is joining a family that already has its own ways. I gave her space. I gave her time. I thought time would soften everything. In the beginning, we shared the house easily. We cooked together sometimes. We spoke about small things. Weather, work, what to make for dinner. I tried not to interfere. I reminded myself that this was their marriage, their life. Still, this was my home. The walls held my memories. Every corner carried a story. I did not realize then how easily memories can be pushed aside. There were small signs. I see them clearly now. The way conversations would stop when I entered the room. The way decisions were made quietly, after I had gone to bed. The way my opinions were met with polite nods, then ignored. First, I blamed myself. Maybe I was talking too much. Maybe I was holding on too tightly. Maybe I needed to step back. So I did. I spoke less. I asked fewer questions. I stayed in my room longer. I told myself this was respect. I told myself this was love. The house grew quieter. Not peaceful quiet. Awkward quiet. Meals became rushed. Doors closed more often. Laughter sounded different, like it belonged to another place. Sometimes I would sit alone at the table long after everyone had finished eating. I would listen to the clock ticking on the wall. Tick, tick, tick. Time does not stop for feelings. I started noticing things missing. Not objects. Moments. Family discussions where I was not included. Outings planned without telling me. Decisions about the house that I learned about later. Oh, we forgot to mention it. My son would say gently. Forgot. That word stayed with me. I remembered all the times I never forgot them. Their school events. Their favorite foods. Their fears and dreams. I remembered sitting by my son's bed when he was sick, counting his breaths through the night. I remembered staying strong after his father died, so he would not see me break. And now, somehow, I was forgettable. One evening, it rained heavily. The kind of rain that makes the world feel smaller. I stood by the window watching water slide down the glass. The house lights were dim. Voices murmured from the living room. I could hear my son and his wife talking. Their voices were calm, serious. I was not meant to hear them, but the walls were thin. That night I heard my name, just once, and then silence. I did not move. I did not breathe loudly. I waited, but nothing followed. No calling for me. No invitation to join them. Just the quiet hum of the television turning on. Something inside me tightened. I went to my room and closed the door slowly, careful not to make a sound. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling. I traced the cracks with my eyes. I had memorized them long ago. This room used to feel safe. Now it felt like a waiting area. I asked myself questions I had never dared to ask before. Was I a burden? Was I in the way? Had my place quietly been replaced? No one tells you when you stop being needed. Just happens. The next morning I woke up early as always. I made tea. I cleaned the kitchen. Old habits are hard to break. When my son came in, he kissed my forehead quickly. His wife followed, already on her phone. "Good morning," I said softly. They smiled. They nodded. They left. The door closed behind them. And I stood there alone in the kitchen, holding a cup that no longer warmed my hands. That was the day I began to understand something had changed. Not in one big moment, but in many small ones that added up quietly. I was still there, still breathing, still loving, but I was no longer seen the same way. I did not cry then. I am not someone who cries easily. Instead, I sat down at the table and folded my hands. I looked around the room. This house had held birthdays, funerals, laughter, fights, forgiveness, and now it held something else: distance. I wondered how a home could feel so full and yet so empty at the same time. That was when I realized this story was not about being asked to leave. Not yet. It was about being slowly erased while still standing in the room. The day my own family forgot I was still here. Part 2: Rising Conflict. After that morning, I began to notice time in a different way. Not by the clock on the wall, but by how often I was alone. The house still woke up early. Doors still opened and closed. Shoes still lined the entrance neatly. But something in the rhythm had shifted, like a song missing one soft note. I told myself not to imagine things. I told myself I was reading too much into silence. After all, people grow busy. Lives change. That is normal. Still, my heart felt uneasy, like it was waiting for something it could not name. I tried to be useful. I thought maybe that would help. I cooked meals they liked. I folded laundry carefully, pairing socks the way I always had. I watered the plants in the living room and wiped dust from the shelves. No one asked me to do these things, but no one stopped me either. Sometimes usefulness feels like the last thread holding you in place. There were days when my son's wife would thank me. Her voice was polite, kind even. "Thank you for the food," she would say, already walking away. I would nod and smile. I did not want to make things uncomfortable. Comfort has many meanings. For me, it meant staying quiet. Slowly, the rules of the house changed. Not written rules, unspoken ones. I learned not to sit in the living room too long. I learned not to ask about their plans. I learned not to offer advice, even when asked. Advice I realized now sounded like interference. So I kept my thoughts to myself. One afternoon, I overheard them talking about rearranging the house. New furniture, different colors. "They'll make the space feel more modern," my son said. I waited for him to ask what I thought. He did not. The conversation moved on. I stood in the hallway holding a folded blanket, unsure where to put it. That evening, I brought it up gently. "About the living room," I said, careful with my words. "Will you need help moving things?" My son hesitated. His wife smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "Oh, we've got it covered," she said. "Don't worry. Don't worry." I nodded. I went back to my room. I started spending more time there. Not because I wanted to hide, but because it felt safer. In my room, no one expected anything from me. No one forgot I was there because no one came. I read old letters. I looked at photographs. My husband's smile stared back at me from a frame on the shelf. He always said I worried too much. "If they don't say it, don't assume it," he used to say. I wished he were there to say it again. There was a weekend when they had guests over. Friends, I think. I was not told in advance. The doorbell rang and laughter filled the house. Voices I did not recognize echoed off the walls. I stayed in my room listening. At some point, my son knocked softly. "Mom," he said, "we've got people over. Just letting you know." I smiled at him. "Of course," I said. "Enjoy." He looked relieved. Then he left. I heard music start soon after. I did not join them. Not because I was told not to, but because I did not feel invited. There is a difference. I heated leftovers and ate alone that night. The sounds of laughter drifted through the house like something meant for someone else. I wondered when I had become a background presence in my own home. Days passed like this, quiet, uneventful, and yet my heart felt tired. I noticed how my son avoided long conversations with me, how his wife spoke to me only when necessary. I told myself it was not personal, but personal feelings do not listen to logic. One morning, I found a note on the kitchen counter. Out for the day. Back late. No greeting. No signature. I stared at the handwriting. It was hers. For a moment, I felt foolish for wanting more. After all, they did not owe me explanations. They were adults. Still, I felt something tightening again. I thought about calling my daughter, who lived far away. But I did not want to worry her. What would I say? I asked myself. That I feel invisible? That sounded childish. So I stayed quiet. Silence had become my habit. The first real misunderstanding happened over something small. Laundry. I had always done it on certain days. That routine never changed. One afternoon, I folded my son's shirts neatly and placed them on the bed, as I had done for years. Later that evening, his wife came into my room. Her smile was tight. "I'd prefer to handle our laundry myself," she said. Her tone was calm, controlled. "Oh," I said quickly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "It's okay," she interrupted. "Just from now on." She left before I could finish speaking. I sat on my bed staring at my hands. It was a small thing. I knew that, but it felt like a door closing. From that day on, I stopped touching anything that belonged to them. I cooked only for myself unless asked. I cleaned only shared spaces carefully. The house felt divided in ways I could not explain. My son noticed the change. "You don't have to stop helping," he said one evening. I smiled softly. "I know," I replied. "I just thought this might be easier." He nodded, distracted. Then his phone rang. Conversation over. At night, I lay awake listening to the house breathe. Pipes creaking. Wind brushing against the windows. I remembered nights long ago when the house was loud with worry and love, when I stayed awake to make sure everyone was safe. Now I wondered if anyone noticed when I stayed awake at all. Another week passed. Then another. One afternoon, I heard my son and his wife talking in the living room. Their voices were low, serious. I was in the kitchen, close enough to hear but not close enough to be seen. "I think it's time we talk about arrangements," she said. Arrangements. The word echoed in my mind. "What kind of arrangements?" my son asked. There was a pause. "I mean the future," she said. "This can't go on forever." My heart began to race. I stepped back quietly, my hands shaking. I did not want to hear more. I did not want to know. But knowing and not knowing both hurt in their own way. That night I did not eat. Food had lost its taste. I thought about my place in the world. How quickly roles change. Once I was needed every day. Now I was an extra thought. I wondered if they saw me as a responsibility instead of a person. That thought hurt the most. The next day I tried to act normal. I greeted them. I smiled. Inside, I felt like I was walking on thin glass. My son kissed my cheek before leaving for work. "Everything okay, Mom?" he asked. I wanted to tell him the truth. That I felt lost. That I felt forgotten. Instead I said, "Of course." Because that is what mothers do. Later that afternoon, his wife approached me again. "We need to talk sometime," she said, not unkindly. "Of course," I replied, my voice steady. She nodded. "Maybe soon." Soon. That word followed me all evening. I went to bed early that night. Not because I was tired, but because I did not know what else to do. Lying in the dark, I thought about all the ways I might have failed. As a mother, as a guest in my own home, I searched my memories for mistakes. Were my expectations too heavy? Was my presence too much? The questions had no answers. By the end of that week, the tension was thick. Not angry, just heavy. The house felt like it was holding its breath. And so was I. I sensed something was coming. Something that would change everything. I did not know when. I did not know how. I only knew that the quiet could not last forever. The morning it happened began like any other. Quiet. Ordinary. I woke before sunrise, my body still following habits formed long ago. The house was silent, wrapped in that soft early light that makes everything feel gentle, even when it is not. I sat on the edge of my bed for a while listening. No voices, no movement, just the steady sound of my own breathing. I made tea and stood by the kitchen window. Outside, the street looked peaceful. Cars parked neatly, birds perched on wires. The world carried on, unaware of what was waiting inside this house. I did not know then that this would be the day everything would be said, or at least everything that mattered. My son and his wife came into the kitchen together. They looked at each other before looking at me. That small glance told me more than words ever could. "Mom," my son said gently, "do you have a moment?" My hands tightened around my cup. "Of course," I said. We sat at the table. The same table where I once helped my children with homework. The same table where birthdays were celebrated. Now it felt like a place for difficult conversations. No one spoke at first. His wife folded her hands neatly in front of her. My son stared at the table. I waited. Silence has a weight when you know it is about you. Finally, she spoke. "I want to say this respectfully," she began. Her voice was calm, carefully controlled. I nodded slowly. "We've been thinking about the future," she continued. "About what's best for everyone." Best for everyone. Those words often hide what comes next. My son cleared his throat. "It's not that you've done anything wrong," he said quickly. "You've been wonderful. Really." I felt something tighten in my chest. Then why does this hurt already? I thought. She looked at me then. Really looked. "I feel like we don't have our own space," she said. "Our own life." I wanted to tell her I understood. Because I did. Marriage needs room to breathe. But the words would not come. She continued softer now. "I don't want resentment to grow. I don't want us to reach a point where we hurt each other." I nodded again. Slowly. I could feel my heart beating in my ears. My son finally looked up at me. "We were thinking," he said. "Maybe it's time for you to consider other arrangements." There it was. Not sharp, not cruel, just placed gently on the table like something already decided. I smiled. I do not know why. Came naturally. "Oh," I said quietly. "I see." Inside something broke. Not loudly, just a soft, painful crack. She reached for a glass of water and took a small sip. "We can help," she said. "Of course. We just think." "I understand," I interrupted, my voice steady. I surprised myself. I did understand. But understanding does not erase pain. The room felt smaller. I noticed details I never had before. A small stain on the table. The hum of the refrigerator. Everything seemed too clear, too sharp. I thought about all the times I had stepped back. All the silences I had swallowed. All the ways I tried to make myself smaller so they could feel bigger. And still it was not enough. My son looked relieved when I did not argue. That hurt almost as much as the words themselves. "I don't want you to feel pushed," he said. I wanted to laugh at that, but I did not. Instead I said, "Of course not," because I was raised to make things easy for others. We talked logistics after that. How long I would need. Where I might go. The conversation felt unreal, like it was happening to someone else. I nodded. I agreed. I listened to my own voice answering questions while my heart drifted somewhere far away. When it was over, they both stood. His wife thanked me for being understanding. My son hugged me tightly. "I love you," he whispered. I hugged him back. "I know," I said. They left for work soon after. The house grew quiet again. But this quiet was different. Final. I sat at the table long after they were gone. I looked around the kitchen. The same walls. The same light. And yet, I felt like a guest who had overstayed her welcome. I went to my room and closed the door. This time I did not do it quietly. I sat on the bed and let myself feel it. The sadness, the shock, the deep, aching loneliness. Still, I did not cry. Not yet. I thought about my husband. What would he have said? Would he have been angry? Protective? I imagined his voice telling me I deserved better. But he was not there. I was alone with my thoughts. That afternoon, I began sorting through my things. Not because they told me to start, but because I needed to do something. Old clothes, books, letters. Each item carried a memory, a life. I realized how much of myself was tied to this house, and how hard it would be to leave. I found a box of photographs under the bed. My children when they were small. Family holidays. Smiling faces. I sat on the floor and went through them slowly. Tears finally came then. Quiet tears. They fell onto the photographs, blurring faces that once felt permanent. I did not blame my son. I still do not. Love changes shape as people grow. But that did not make it easier. That evening they came home and asked if I was okay. I'm fine, I said. I was not lying. I was surviving. Dinner was quiet. We spoke about simple things. Work, weather. No one mentioned the conversation from the morning. It hung between us like something fragile. That night I packed my first bag. Just essentials. Clothes, toiletries, few photos. I moved slowly, carefully, like I was saying goodbye to each corner. As I zipped the bag closed, a thought settled in my mind. This was not just about leaving a house. It was about leaving a role. The role of being needed. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling once more. Only this time I counted the days I had left. Not knowing exactly when I would go. Just knowing that I would. Before sleep took me, I whispered something into the darkness. I'm still here, I said softly. I did not know who I was saying it for. Maybe for myself. The days after that conversation moved slowly. Not heavy like before, but careful. As if the house itself was trying not to disturb me. No one rushed me. No one asked for a date. They let me take my time. Sometimes kindness comes too late to change how something feels. I continued sorting my things little by little. One drawer a day. One shelf at a time. I found objects I had not touched in years. A scarf my husband bought me on our first trip together. A notebook filled with recipes written in my mother's handwriting. I held each item for a moment before deciding its place. What to keep, what to let go. Felt like I was doing the same with parts of my life. My son tried to help in his own way. He asked if I needed anything. He offered to drive me places. I thanked him and declined most of the time. Not out of pride, but because I needed to learn how to stand again. His wife became quieter around me, gentler. She avoided long conversations, but she made sure I ate. She left small things where I could see them. A cup of tea, a folded blanket. It was her way of saying she did not hate me. That mattered more than she knew. One evening she knocked on my door. May I come in? She asked. I nodded. She sat on the chair by the window, her hands folded. I hope you know this wasn't easy for me, she said softly. I was scared to say anything. I listened. I didn't want to hurt you, she continued. I just didn't know how to live without feeling crowded. Her honesty surprised me. I understand, I said quietly, and I meant it. She looked relieved. I hope one day you can forgive me, she said. I thought about that. Forgiveness is not something that arrives all at once. Comes slowly, in layers. I'm trying, I replied. That was the truth. After she left, I sat alone and reflected. I realized something important. She was not the only one afraid. I had been afraid too. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of losing my place. Fear had guided all of us in different ways. I began thinking seriously about where I would go. I could move closer to my daughter, or rent a small place of my own. For the first time in years, the future was open. Scary, but open. One afternoon, I visited a small apartment nearby. Nothing fancy, just a bedroom, a kitchen, and a window that let in sunlight. I stood in the middle of the room and listened. It was quiet, but it was my kind of quiet. When I told my son, he looked sad. I wish things were different, he said. So do I replied. We hugged for a long time. Not the kind of hug that fixes things, the kind that accepts them. The night before I left, I walked through the house one last time. I touched the walls. I stood by the kitchen window. I looked at the tree in the front yard, taller now, just as my husband once promised. Life had kept moving even when I stayed still. They helped me load my bags into the car. No one rushed. No one spoke much. Before I got in, my son held my hands. "You're always welcome here," he said. I smiled. "I know," I replied. And I did. But knowing and belonging are not always the same. My new place felt strange at first. Too quiet. Too empty. But as days passed, I began to fill it. A chair by the window. Photographs on the wall. Plants on the sill. Slowly, it started to feel like home. I learned new routines. Morning walks. Tea in silence. Evenings with books and soft music. I missed my family. That never went away. But the ache softened. One afternoon, my son visited alone. He sat at my small table and looked around. "You seem lighter," he said. I smiled. "I feel quieter," I replied. We talked about small things. Nothing heavy. Sometimes healing does not need big words. I realized then that being forgotten did not mean I was gone. It meant I needed to remember myself. Who I was beyond roles. Beyond expectations. Just me. Living alone changed the way I listened to silence. At first, silence felt loud. It reminded me of everything that was no longer around me. Footsteps in the hallway. Voices calling my name from another room. But slowly, silence became gentle. It stopped asking questions. Stopped judging. It simply stayed. In the mornings, I made tea and sat by the window. Sunlight spilled across the floor, warm and patient. I watched people pass by on the street. Everyone was carrying something. Worries, hopes, memories. I realized then that I was not as alone as I once believed. I was simply walking a quieter path. My family visited from time to time. My son would call before coming. He knocked even though he did not need to. That small act told me everything. We talked. We laughed softly. We avoided the past without pretending it did not exist. Healing does not always mean reopening old wounds. Sometimes it means letting them rest. His wife came with him one afternoon. She brought a small plant. "I thought it might like your window," she said. I placed it carefully on the sill. "It will," I replied. We shared tea in silence. Not uncomfortable, just honest. I saw effort in her eyes, and she saw peace in mine. That was enough. I stopped waiting to be remembered. I stopped measuring my worth by how often someone needed me. Instead, I started noticing myself again. My strength, my patience, my ability to survive quiet heartbreak without becoming bitter. Some nights I still miss the old house. I miss the sound of the door opening, the feeling of being in the middle of everything. But I no longer wished myself smaller to fit somewhere I was outgrowing. I learned something important through all of this. Families change. Love shifts shape. Roles fade. But dignity does not have to disappear with them. There was a day when my son hugged me goodbye and said, "Thank you for understanding." I held him a little longer and replied, "Thank you for loving me the best way you could." We both needed to hear that. I no longer see that moment at the kitchen table as the day I was pushed away. I see it as the day I was asked to step forward into myself. Painful, yes. Necessary, too. If there is one thing I have learned, it is this. Being forgotten by others does not mean you stop mattering. It means you are being asked to remember your own value. So when I think back to that day when my own family forgot I was still here, I no longer feel invisible. I feel present. In my life. In my choices. In my quiet strength. And that is enough.